Good afternoon. It is 5 o'clock on Wednesday in the Eastern Time Zone, which means it's time for Let's Talk Personal. I am your host, as always, Frances Reimers. Thank you so much for joining me, especially if you are in the D.C. metro area today. If you're watching, I really appreciate you because it's the most gorgeous day we've had in a while. And so if you are indoors or remotely indoors watching this, then I truly appreciate you because you should be outside enjoying this. If you are not in the D.C. metro area, I hope it's wonderful wherever you are. We have an exciting show for us tonight. So if you want to join in on the conversation, please do. You can do so on Twitter at LTP Brand Radio or on Instagram at Let's Talk Personal. If you want to talk to me, and I know that you absolutely do because you do it every day, you can do so on Twitter at Your Firestarter and on Instagram at Firestarter CEO. With me today is a very special guest, and with full disclosure, Jocelyn is with Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind, and not only is Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind a sponsor of Let's Talk Personal, and we will talk about sponsorships a little bit later, but I am also on the advisory board for Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind, so we have lots of different agendas that we're going to cover on tonight's show, but I'm super excited to have Jocelyn here, so welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate you taking time from this glorious day to come inside and swelter in the heat of this. I warned her. I was like, it's going to be warm. It's really warm.
You did.
And it really is toasty. But thank you for enduring the sweltering heat of this studio to chat with me today. So I've known you a long time, but those on watching us from wherever in the world they may be, they may not be familiar with you. So tell us a little bit about what you do at Columbia Lighthouse and what Columbia Lighthouse is.
Sure. Well, again, Frances, thank you for including us in the show this evening, and we appreciate your longtime service and contributions as an advisory board member and just an all-around cheerleader for CLB and our mission. So thank you.
I'm a good cheerleader. I'm a good cheerleader. Good cheerleader. Okay, back to you.
So at Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind, I have the privilege of serving as its Director of Communications, and for me, that entails public relations. So I am out presenting at numerous facilities, whether it's a senior living facility one day, or maybe it's a church or an age-friendly gathering of stakeholders. And I also have the opportunity to outreach to different media outlets, including Frances. She kindly invited me today, so this is just an example of one of the ways in which I'm able to spread the message about Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind and to engage the community.
And so what is it? Tell people what it is, what the mission is.
So Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind, we've been around now, come May, it'll be 118 years, serving the Washington, D.C. region. We are headquartered here in the nation's capital, and we service the entire region, which includes Northern Virginia and most of the state of Maryland.
Okay.
And we serve people of all ages who are blind, visually impaired, and people who are deafblind.
Okay.
And
explain what that is. I don't think a lot of people might know what that is.
People who are deafblind, they are either deaf and blind, or they could be deaf and visually impaired, or visually impaired and hard of hearing, or visually impaired and deaf.
Right.
And most people who are deafblind communicate either electronically or through tactile signing, which is signing in the hand, the palm of the hand.
Okay.
Most of our clients who are deafblind utilize the services of support service providers, more commonly known as SSPs.
Okay.
And these individuals share information about the environment to that individual.
Right.
So visual information, hearing, audible information, so that that individual can participate in the exercise or in the program. And they have valuable skills, and we appreciate their service.
And so when you say that you provide services to the clients, talk a little bit about what it is you guys actually do for these individuals.
So we work with people wherever they are, meaning wherever they are in their life stage. So if they are an adult and they are newly blind as a result of diabetic retinopathy, by the way, diabetic retinopathy is the leading cause of blindness among working age adults.
We'll dig into that because I'm sure most people are quickly trying to Google what that is. So why don't you just go ahead and tell them?
So, give you a little bit of backdrop. Diabetes is rampant. Diabetes is very high in numbers here in the DC region.
Yes.
And many people may not even know that they have diabetes, let alone diabetic retinopathy, which is a retinal disease caused by diabetes that's untreated. And diabetic retinopathy can cause individuals to have some vision loss all the way to complete vision loss.
Okay.
As with many visual impairments that we serve the clients, there is not a cure for diabetic retinopathy. So we teach people how to adjust to their vision loss, what adaptations there may be, whether it's traveling independently or getting a job, maintaining that employment. Okay, we say, Jocelyn, now that I have a job, like, what do I do? So we teach people how to use computers that have adaptive technology, whether it's a software that can speak everything on the computer monitor, or that is magnified information so that you communicate effectively and are just as efficient and productive in the workplace as someone who's completely sighted.
Right.
It varies. And there are also desktop devices that people can use. So, for example, I use a desktop device called a CCTV, closed circuit TV. It's like a large microfiche that you could have found in the library many years ago.
Yeah.
And you place a document underneath it and it magnifies it on the monitor. And they are now, flat panel and color and very nice and very effective for you to see images and to read documents and to sign your John Hancock in very important places.
And why is it, the services of CLB are very important and for a lot of reasons, but why is it so important that people who are blind or visually impaired are able to maintain their independence?
We want our community to maintain independence so that they continue to contribute in society, in their lives, so that they continue to be tax-paying citizens and get employment or volunteer, or maybe they are a child and they want to participate in Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, or they want to still be able to enjoy a sleepover with a friend, giving that child the skills needed, whether it's mobility instruction or just giving the confidence that's needed to go out and meet new friends, learn new skills. It's vital to that livelihood of the individual and, frankly, to the community. Their
self-esteem, their well-being, their overall quality of life.
Absolutely.
Being able to contribute and feel as if they are having the full and complete rich life that all the rest of us enjoy on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And so throughout the year, CLB has a ton of activities
we do.
that keep you very busy, that keep the entire staff very busy, keep the advisory board very busy. So go through kind of the calendar of the year and completing on the most big event that's coming up here soon.
So we're now in February, and January we were very productive as always, and our highlight for January was a ski trip. So one of our donors graced us with a ski trip for our adult clients, getting them introduced to ski and that overall experience. So we hosted a trip for a dozen adult clients where we went up to Liberty Mountain in Pennsylvania, and they treated us really well. Thank you, Liberty Mountain, if you're listening, if you're watching. And we had adaptive ski instructors. They were volunteers, and they provided step-by-step, no pun intended, instruction to these clients. It was a whole process. So it began in the mountain resort where they introduced them to wearing the ski boots, which is a very different experience, very different from wearing a pair of sneakers or tennis shoes, depending upon where you're from, in terms of your geography and your lingo. And they would navigate the space wearing these boots, and then eventually they would graduate to going outside, and they would put their they put their gear on, and then they walked outside with an adaptive ski instructor, and they experienced the terrain, the snow, and then eventually they put on one ski. They walked around and navigated with that. And then if it was successful, they graduated to wearing 2 pairs of skis. And it was
one pair of ski on each foot. Right.
And it was just an incredible experience. Everyone was safe. Everyone was worn out from the great workout.
Right.
But it built tremendous confidence in the clients who had the ability to experience it firsthand.
Right.
And we are so appreciative to this donor for hosting us. This
Right.
was the second time he's extended the generosity to Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind.
Right. So in addition to skiing, we've got summer camps, we've got walks, we've
Yep.
got just art showings
Yep.
and all these other things. Now the art showing is coming up, right?
Yep, that's
So
spring.
talk about
So
that.
we are in really busy season as we wrap up the month of February and get ready for our spring programming. In March, our highlight is the debut of our annual art exhibit. And y'all, listen, this year we've named the show, and this name will, it seems, follow us for the coming future.
Yep.
It's Beyond Sight.
Yeah.
And we love it. It is very relevant to Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind.
Right.
And we're so excited to host it this year. PNC Bank is one of our sponsors. We're hosting it in partnership with Busboys and Poets.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for those of you not local to the DC community, Busboys and Poets is a very community-based
Oriented, yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the owner is very generous, very philanthropic, and he is over the moon about partnering with us to host this exhibit that will feature the abilities of people with vision loss. So 5 artists will display their works that night, including one of our, well, in addition to the 5 artists, one of our youth clients will feature her piece of art that night, which is March 14th. And you all can find out more by visiting us on clb.org and our social media platforms as well.
Last year was our first ever of this art exhibit, and it was very well attended. And what really blew me away about the art exhibit last year was the artists being blind or visually impaired, and just the amazing work that came out of it. Very moving, very personal pieces. And so if you're an art enthusiast, or just have a general appreciation of disabilities and people with disabilities doing amazing things, this is a great event for you to attend. I truly enjoyed it last year, and I'm looking forward to it again this year. But the other event we have coming up is...
So I like to describe our events as really being unique and inspiring. The art show is certainly inspirational as you see the creativity of these individuals. And so the next inspiring event is just a couple of months away after the art opening, is our Shot in the Dark Golf and Dinner Classic. May 21st, which is a Monday at Woodmont Country Club here in the region in Rockville. Woodmont is home to the U.S. Open qualifier, and it's a beautiful
It's gorgeous.
course.
Gorgeous.
And what makes this event unique is that we have world champion blind golfers coming in from across the country who will introduce their skills to our clients, but also to the sighted golfers who may be competing with their foursomes. Each foursome will have an opportunity to play at least one hole with a world champion blind golfer.
Right. And it's a great day. We usually have a really decent weather, although one year it was a little rainy. We usually tend to have pretty decent weather, but Woodmont is great, and the experience overall between the golfing and the after the dinner that follows, the stories, the people, the networking is truly exciting. So if you would like to participate and you can't remember to contact CLB, you can certainly reach out to me, and I will tell you how to get yourself signed up. There are foursomes still available.
Yep, there are foursomes
Okay.
still available, individual golfers still available, and it is an auction night as well.
Right.
So for anyone who has a special talent or service would like to donate an auction item, let us know. Or if you're really into auctions and you want to just come to the dinner, you're more than welcome to just
buy a
sign up
dinner ticket.
for the dinner
Right.
and to enjoy the auction and to network and meet new people and to be inspired.
Right. Not every talent is open for auctioning. Let me just retract on that. There's some talents we don't want to auction off. Yes, but if you have donation items, if you want to sponsor, if you want to attend, you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to give you all of the details, and we hope that you do. It's a really fun time. I love to golf, so I absolutely will be there, not just because I'm on the advisory board, but I love to golf, and I love the course. It is amazing. Yeah. So switching gears ever so slightly from this 10-minute commercial about CLB that people have been sitting through. It's right, you will watch because it's my show. This, not only do you work at CLB, but this mission is personal to you.
Yep.
For those who aren't aware, you too have vision loss.
Right.
So tell a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so I have been working at Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind 13 years now.
Right.
And I came in an entry-level position after working on Capitol Hill for about 3 years. And what inspired me was the mission.
Right.
As you mentioned, Francis, I have a visual impairment. I have a retinal disease, a rare condition called Stargardt's.
Okay. And what is that?
With Stargardt's, my central vision is not as strong as it should be.
Okay.
So I do wear contact lenses, but they
Right.
don't correct the sight to 20/20 or near 20/20.
Okay.
So as a result, I can't operate a moving vehicle.
Right.
Or discern faces from a distance
Right.
or
Right.
street signage.
Right.
But I've adapted
Right.
to the sight that I currently have.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, I use assistive technology
Right.
on my computer,
Right.
Portable devices, the desktop magnifier to help me to be as productive as I can be.
Right.
And to be as engaged in the community as I am.
And were you born with this, or was this something that developed over time?
I was diagnosed my senior year of high school. It's
Okay.
a genetic disease that manifested itself at that time.
Right.
And until that time, I'd worn corrective lenses, and they did correct the vision. But
Right.
at that point, the doctor recognized that something was not quite right with the retina.
Right.
And sure enough, it was not. And at that time, many, many years ago,
Right.
there was not a search engine.
Right.
There was not
Right.
a Facebook group.
Right.
There was not a following where you could easily generate information
Right.
and take action.
Right.
And I moved forward, went on to college,
Right.
and through my mom's advocacy and tenacity,
Right.
she learned about Johns Hopkins
Okay.
Wilmer Eye Institute.
Okay.
And it changed my life because
Right.
I learned about assistive technology
Right.
and other adaptations
Right.
that helped me gain more confidence and the ability to do work in a very timely, efficient manner.
Right.
And I truly believe that that experience is the catalyst for me wanting to make sure that people who have a similar diagnosis, that their life doesn't stop,
Right.
but they forge ahead.
Right.
They take comfort in knowing that there is an organization like Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind
Right.
that's ready and willing to help
Right.
them.
And so when this was happening, especially like around your senior year of high school, was it, you were looking up at the blackboard and, I just dated myself. You're looking up at the whiteboard and it was fuzzy, or you just couldn't even see it at all?
I love that question because I remember exactly where I was. I was
Okay.
in English reading the part of Lady Macbeth, and I was
Okay.
in the textbook, and the words were coming together. The letters weren't separated. They weren't sharp and crisp, and I
Right.
knew something was wrong.
Right.
Sure enough, it
And
was.
and I'm sure you probably, maybe went to the school nurse or maybe went to your parents and you were like, something's off here. They take you to the eye doctor, and did the eye doctor diagnose it right
Yeah,
away?
so-
or were they like, oh, we'll just put some glasses on you and call it
I
good?
did immediately share the experience with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
They scheduled me to see my optometrist that I'd seen since like third grade.
Right, right.
He examined the back of the eye, the retina. He knew
Right.
something was not right.
Right.
He wanted another opinion. He referred me to a retina specialist, and that retina specialist was spot on.
Right.
Said, this is your diagnosis.
Right.
And here you are.
And so moving forward in your life, if you choose to have children of your own, is there something you can do to test to see if they will have this, or is it, how does that go moving forward?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not even giving that any thought.
Well, I understand that. I understand that. I would just, that would be very interesting to me because, when we think about things that are genetic,
Yep.
Something going on with our retinas or, macular degeneration. These are things that just I don't normally, people don't normally think about.
Right.
But they're real and they happen.
Yeah, they are.
And so, thinking about that carrying on to the next generation, what would you do? What could you do, if anything? But the technology has changed so much since you were a kid that this clearly is not stopping your life in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
I mean,
but over the years, I've learned to describe the star guards.
Right.
If you'd asked me 15 years ago to describe it, I would have been talking over my words.
Okay.
I didn't know how to describe it.
Right.
I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
And so with the star guards, I have what's called low vision.
Right.
Low vision essentially means that, with the corrective lenses, it
Right.
doesn't correct to 20/20.
Right.
And there is not a medical procedure at this time that can
Correct it.
change
Right.
the diagnosis or correct it.
Right.
Many people with low vision, including me, color contrast is helpful.
Right.
Right now, we have the mic on this white tablecloth.
Right.
Loving it. Great contrast.
Right.
I enjoy natural light, fluorescent light. It brings in information for me to absorb.
Right.
And 15 years ago, I don't know if I would have been that articulate in describing areas that would be of benefit to me.
Right. So for most of us, looking at the blue screen of a computer screen or a cell phone screen, that's harmful to us. But for you, it's almost a benefit because it's direct light.
Right.
Okay.
I love backlight. I love mobile devices that have the nice backlighting and the bright projection of images. I'm able to capture the information quickly and correctly.
Right. And because of your situation, this allows you to tell the story of the CLB body of clients that we have a lot more effectively. How is that helping up on Capitol Hill or places where we need to put forth information about the lives of people who have low vision or are completely blind? How is that helping?
Well, Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind, because we are a local nonprofit, we do a lot of grassroots education.
Yeah.
Whether it's talking to a DC council member like Councilmember Grasso or a legislator from Prince George's County. We also work to introduce the mission and its abilities to organizations that reach senior citizens or youth with disabilities.
Right.
For example, this coming May, we're partnering with Dreams for Kids DC to host our first annual resource fair at the Pepco Edison Place Gallery. We're looking forward to introducing resources to young adults seeking employment. Again, giving them the confidence, the resources that they need to forge ahead. This past summer, I worked with my colleague to host our transition program for young adults. And I was assigned to go to the campus a few days a week, a few nights a week. And I went there talking to some of the students, and it came up about my visual impairment. I don't know how it interjected itself into a sentence. And one of the students asked, "Oh, Miss Jocelyn, you have a visual impairment too?" I said, "I sure do." And it helped to give him a baseline, I think, of what could happen for him. I hope it gave him encouragement. It certainly sounded like it through his voice and through the face lighting a little bit more. So I do not take my position lightly with the impact that it can have.
Well, I think any time where people can see someone who looks like them or has a similar situation as them and see that there is, the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel, I think that's always a good thing. Are there particular colleges or universities that are better suited for people who are blind or visually impaired?
I don't have an endorsement of any at the moment. What I do encourage
Right.
is that parents, families reach out to the disability offices, get to know them, get to know their
Yes.
bandwidth
Yep.
as it relates to the potential needs of your children.
And all colleges and universities do have this office. This exists on
does
almost
exist.
every single
Right.
college campus.
Right.
And so, if somebody has these issues or is concerned they might be heading towards those issues,
Right.
there are people that they can reach out at the collegiate level to get the services
Right.
as they need. In the community, if somebody is unsure and if they don't live somewhere where there's a Columbia Lighthouse, what is the best place for them to start their search for resources if they are blind or visually impaired?
I recommend a couple of resources: National Industries for the Blind,
Yep.
as well as the American Foundation for the Blind.
Right.
Both have very robust community engagement, communication shops, and they have a wealth of information, and they're always willing to help clients, families.
Right. NIB, former client. Hi. They were. It's fact. So one thing I really wanted to get into, and something that is of just curiosity to me, simply because just morbid curiosity, is social media is drastically changing the way that you and I do our jobs as communications professionals, but also just the way we're communicating as a whole, as
Right.
people.
Right.
And so, something just when I was thinking about having you on the show and questions that I would have for you on the show, I was like, how is the internet and how is social media changing the lives of people who are blind or visually impaired? And so I just wanted to know if you had any insight into how people who are
Yeah.
blind or visually impaired are engaging with the internet and social media.
My experience is that many of our clients are very active on social media. I've got one fun example, and I got permission from a colleague, Olivia Norman, to share it.
Okay.
Hope you're out there watching, Olivia.
'Cause we're talking about you,
Olivia
so.
is our information referral specialist.
Right.
And she is very gregarious. She enjoys sharing information, resources, her story. And she's very active on Facebook and image resources.
Right.
With our weekly staff emails
Right.
that we disseminate, we share photos. And you're probably wondering, well, Jocelyn, aren't many of your staff members blind or visually impaired? They are.
Yes, they are.
What we share, in addition to the image, is a description, a written description of two skiers happily enjoying ski with their adaptive ski instructors.
Right.
This gives a very good image to our clients, to individuals with vision loss.
Right.
Is that same technique
Right.
that Olivia employs when she's reading through her Facebook stream. She wants to watch the video as long as it's audio described.
Right.
She wants to see the image. She wants to know who's in the photo
Right.
and what they're wearing. She wants to be a part of that visual conversation.
Right.
I encourage you to please share visual information with people who are blind or visually impaired, and making sure that it's done effectively and
Right.
accurately.
Right.
Referring to the vision-oriented words like looking and seeing and watching TV. Those are all a part of everyday
Right.
conversation, and they are embraced in our community.
Right.
And being sure to distinguish between a yellow hat
Right.
or a red hat. That's
Right.
important.
And so a little bit what she's getting into is what is required on the government side, which is 508 compliance.
Right.
And so for those who have never had the joy of having to make their marketing materials or the website 508 compliant,
Yep.
this is the tactic of which you have to literally provide an overlay of each and every image
Yep.
that is on your website or in your marketing materials so that people who are blind or visually impaired can understand what it is that what is in written word but also in the visual context. And if people who are blind or visually impaired are part of your target audience, 508 compliance, while only required in the government sector, understanding 508 compliance and understanding how to apply that to your marketing or your public relations campaign is important if people who are blind or
Absolutely.
visually impaired
Absolutely.
are part of your campaign, because as you're very accurate, very clearly describing that, people who are blind or visually impaired, they want to go through their Facebook feed
Absolutely.
as well, and
Absolutely.
they're also consumers.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And so if you are doing a Facebook ad campaign or a Twitter ad campaign, or even LinkedIn for that example, for example, understanding 508 compliance when you create your banner or your button or even your text is extremely important to being able to reach these. I mean, these people have jobs, they have money.
Absolutely.
They're consuming.
Absolutely.
They're buying cars and shoes and fashion and music and all
they're
of
going
these
to restaurants.
They're going to restaurants.
Yep.
And if you're not tailoring, if you're forgetting that very vital, sorry to put you on the spot, but do you happen to know the figure of how many people in America are blind or visually impaired? Even a ballpark figure?
About 10 million.
Okay, that's a lot of people.
10 million, yep.
That's a lot of consumers
Yep.
there. So if you're building a campaign,
And about 60,000 here in the D.C. region.
right?
So that's a good figure.
And honestly,
That's a sizable number.
right, for my for-profit marketer and PR friends out there that I know are watching, like, your next campaign, you might want to think about, 50, if you want to talk to me offline, I can show you how to do 508 compliance, like, in really quickly. It's not that difficult. Actually, there's an Adobe program that helps you do it in no time flat. So, but it's extremely important because these are consumers and
Right.
they're actively participating in Facebook and Twitter and
Absolutely.
even Instagram. They're
Absolutely.
participating in that as well. And so if you're trying to create campaigns and you're trying to reach the largest audience you possibly can, maybe taking that one extra step to make sure that your campaign has that 508 compliance could mean additional funds
Absolutely.
in the door.
Right. It will serve you well. And we encourage an inclusive environment, an inclusive community for everyone watching who is a part of a commercial space. We too can share tips on how to make your website accessible.
Yeah.
And another unique element of our line of this business is that we have testers who are blind or visually impaired.
Mm-hmm.
So that is ensuring that it's really reaching the need of a web user
Right.
who uses adaptive technology.
And one thing, you said something earlier that jogged my memory on something. CLB recently forged a partnership with the National Restaurant Association.
Yep.
Why don't you talk about what that is and how it's changing the restaurant landscape, particularly here in the DC metro area?
Right. We appreciate the work, the partnership that we do have with the National Restaurant Association, all in an effort to introduce this unique opportunity to restaurant owners who have websites, reminding them that these websites are also, in many cases, visited by individuals with vision loss, and that information matters. Usability matters. Pop-up screens, pop-up information may not be a friend to someone
Right.
with a visual impairment.
Right.
Having information that is properly tagged on the back end as a mouse hovers over an image, making sure that it is readable to someone using not only a screen reader, but a device that actually will read it to them, whether it's on their iPhone or a desktop. It's very important.
Right.
We're also working with restaurants that are independent of the association, ensuring that they have the knowledge needed to pursue websites and online information that is accessible for people with disabilities, people with vision loss. Again, as you all know, baby boomers, they consume a lot of products. They are very active in the community, and they want to remain active in the community as they age, as they potentially are diagnosed with age-related macular degeneration or glaucoma or other eye conditions and diseases. They want to be able to order food online or other products, and having it user-friendly could be an impact to your business or to that consumer.
Right. And so if you are a restaurant and you want to learn more or get more involved with this program, where should people go?
Again, clb.org.
Okay.
Yeah, we invite your participation, even if you're just curious and want to have a conversation with myself or our Director of Technology and Training. Happy to introduce you.
And isn't there like a little sticker or something that people can put in their window? What does that look like?
So there is a little decal, kind of like the good housekeeping seal of approval, that once everything is finalized, the assessment, the remediation on the back end of the website, businesses get to proudly display in their windows that they are accessible, essentially, and that they're made accessible by Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind.
So right next
It's like
to
a little decal.
Right next to their Zagat rating sign, they can put their sign that they're approved by the Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind, which I think that's really great. I think it's any time that people feel like they're being included and it's inclusive and it's something worth, the organization is, inviting them in. I think it's a good thing, and it's a good partnership for CLB too, because it's getting our message out there in a different way. But back to social media for a second. I know that you are not super duper huge on social media.
Personally, no.
No, it's like you're anti it. What social? I mean, you're heavy on LinkedIn.
I am.
You are. You're so like. You're so
corporate.
I
want to be so in the know, especially on the corporate side. Yeah. Who's where? What kind of BD opportunities are there out there? Right. Trying to get a handle on the many different industries here in the region. Right. A lot of good informative news articles are posted. Try to be as well informed as possible so that when I'm communicating with different stakeholders, I have something of substance.
Yeah, but
share.
you have to like everyone else in the world. You have to like non-substantive content. What is that?
And a lot of that happens to be whether maybe like celebrity news or politics, and I'll remain neutral on that. But again, trying to stay as well informed as possible.
Right.
And in terms of just the celebrity, what I really love about the 21st century with social media is that our celebrities, certain celebrities, are able to use it as a platform to move change.
Yep.
Whether it's the football player in Texas who was so impacted and moved by the images of the storm.
Right.
That he garnered all of the resources.
You're talking about J.J. Watt?
Yes. That's just powerful.
Right. Yes, it is.
So it's my hope that Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind in the future, the near future, will be able to draw upon that type of energy from a celebrity, whether it's local to DC or national or a global figure, to really elevate our mission.
I think, the thing, this is something I always warn with organizations, whether it's corporate or for-profit, quite often I get approached by people that are like, oh, you work with so-and-so, will so-and-so support our cause?
Yep.
And I'm always willing to go to my clients or friends or colleagues and say, hey, there's this organization, they're looking for somebody to partner with, are you interested? But what I often tell people is it's often organic. It's not because a publicist is bringing something to somebody's attention. It's usually, something impacted them personally, their parent, their child, their neighborhood, their town. And that's when they spring to action. It was very personal for J.J. Watt because he lives there. He's part of that team. Yep. These were people that buy tickets to come watch him play. Yeah. They buy his jersey. So it was personal to him. And so a lot of organizations, they're like, I had a call earlier today for a different nonprofit who was wanting a certain former NFL player to support their mission. We did the research to make sure that this was actually something that he would want to participate in because it's personal to him. Yeah. The mission, what happens, the outcomes, that's part of his story, his personal story, and thus why he was more inclined to say yes. The biggest thing is you don't want somebody supporting your cause under this is a strong word, but under duress.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want them supporting your cause because you've literally wore them down. You've literally called them 18,000 times, and so they're like, fuck, okay, yeah, like, yes, I'll support you.
Yeah.
You know, you want a phone call like the phone call I had earlier today where, you know, yes, I stalked this person on the low and found out that this is something in his personal story that means something, and called him and was like, hey, you know, you and this nonprofit should align because it works for both of you. And he was able to say yes because it made sense for him. And that's what I think a lot of, you know, the whole thing with JJ Watt, that was a decision he made on his own. You know, he made that choice and was personally very passionate about it. You could tell that he was personally very passionate about it. And that's why it created such the groundswell that it did. I mean, you and I both know, because we've worked around this a lot, when somebody is not personally impacted, it's not going to hit home for them as much as it would for somebody that this is part of their story. Or part of the reason that, you know, I wanted to have you on the show is, one, so people could hear your personal story and about CLB, but there might be someone out there that we just don't know. Who this is part of their story.
Right.
Or they're like me, and one of their biggest fears in the whole wide world is waking up one day and not being able to see. That is like a legit fear of mine. Legit. Right there with heights and clowns. It's right there in the top 3. And so we might be able to touch somebody that it is authentic to them, and they are willing to take it on with passion and gusto. I think that's where a lot of nonprofits fall flat, is they are hunting down the name, the celebrity, but that person may have no affinity. And I, you know, and you know, people who are in, you know, donations or, you know, fundraising people, you can tweet at me if you want, but when it's not authentic, you can tell. When the celebrity or the politician or whatever, if it's not authentic to them, you can tell. And so, you know, I wanted to give a platform to you. I've had other, you know, nonprofit people that I'm aligned with on here as well, so that people could hear the message, and maybe it becomes personal to them, and they can reach out to you, and it can become an organic thing. Because when we try to stuff it into a bag when it's not, you know, and I mean, you know this every day, actually communicating on behalf of this organization is, you know, it's authentic to you. It's personal to you. So you're able to communicate it in a way that I would never be able to communicate it. You know, we're both skilled communicators, but you have a leverage on me in this realm that I just can't compete with. But eventually you're going to move on to bigger and better things. She will. And someone's going to have to take your place. What would be your recommendation to a communicator who may not share your same story to effectively tell the message of what CLB is and what CLB is trying to do?
Get out in the community. Go to our FAB class. Let me tell you what FAB is. Foundations of Adjustment to Blindness. I was over there today, had a ball. One of our colleagues in media, Mike Kaneen, he is interested in pedestrian safety, and he came and met us at the FAB apartment. We have a simulated living situation in this apartment building that simulates daily living for any individual. But this setup is specific for our clients to learn how to adjust to managing their household again, introduce them to Braille, adaptive technology, and even more importantly, a network. A network of individuals who may be experiencing the same challenges and need the same information and encouragement to move forward. And I always enjoy going out to FAB. It's a
Where is that?
2-week program once a month
Okay.
in the Tacoma neighborhood. For those of you outside of D.C.,
Maryland.
Tacoma, it's right there at the entrance of Maryland, and it's Metro Rail accessible. Part of the instruction is teaching clients how to navigate the Metro Rail, the Metro bus. This morning, they took a shopping trip
Oh.
to a local store,
Right.
learning money management, how to
Right.
navigate in the store, and again, how to advocate in a store.
Right.
If I'm in a store and I need more information, how do I request it from the customer service agent?
Right.
And how do I how do I respond if that agent is not as willing to help
Right.
as I would like?
Right.
So very essential tools for moving ahead and forging beyond that initial foundation to adjusting.
Right. So many, as you were going through the laundry list of things that they do in the Fab House, I was thinking to myself, these are so many things that able-bodied and full-sighted people do every single day and probably completely take for granted.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
navigating the aisles of a grocery
Uh-huh.
store, getting money out of your wallet, unless you're using a debit card or a credit card, if you're fumbling for cash and that sort of thing.
Right.
If you have low vision, that's a very
Right.
difficult task.
Yes.
And can take a toll on your mental health and your self-esteem.
Right.
I would guess. So these life skills and the what's going on in the Fab House and what you're teaching these people is not only just helpful for them just to function, but to feel good about themselves and have a
Absolutely.
better self-esteem.
Absolutely.
Right.
For most participants who graduate from FAB, they move forward either to more training or vocational training or directly into employment. So those life skills and that
Right.
confidence is very necessary.
Right, right. I mean, I could only imagine the trying to navigate these things. I mean, I barely navigate through life, and I'm completely healthy. I can't imagine navigating by being, blind or having low vision. But with the little bit of time that we have left, I ask the same. I ask all of my people on the show the same questions, all about brand and content. Who do you think is putting out the best content right now? Whose content, whether personally, professionally, who do you think is putting out the best content right now?
Personally,
Yes, yes, yes.
Oprah Winfrey, I
Well,
just continue to be inspired by her strength,
right,
her tenacity,
right,
and her ability just to be Oprah.
right, right. Well,
And
being a
she
millionaire allows
She
that.
mobilizes people. She
Right.
inspires people.
Right. Were you in the camp that believed that she might run for president, or did you know that she's not going to run for president?
I suspect that she would decline.
Yes, yeah, she's not taking that pay cut. what is one social media trend that you wish would stop, that people need to stop doing?
Okay, I do appreciate Twitter.
Yes.
I appreciate that it's quick information.
Yes.
Visually, it's easy to read because it's all linear, at least
Right.
from my perspective,
Yep.
using adaptive technology.
Right.
I don't like Twitter wars where there's just this constant combating.
Yes.
I wish that Twitter could somehow diffuse it.
Right. Right.
I don't know if it's possible, just throwing that out there.
No, I don't think it. I don't think it can be diffused. I certainly agree with you that I wish people would. I mean, sometimes it's humorous, but then sometimes it just gets taken way too far. Somebody that I follow on Twitter shared something with me the other day that I just found so disturbing. It was a woman sports writer who is elsewhere. I believe she's in New Jersey, and she posted something about the Redskins, and these two men attacked her, just verbally attacked her. They were like, "Oh, you couldn't get a job in New Jersey, so even though you live there, you're reporting on the Giants. I mean, on the Redskins." And I mean, these men were just verbally attacking this woman, and that kind of stuff is the stuff that whether it's a man or a woman,
Right.
that kind of stuff I just can't stomach, and it's getting harder and harder for me to witness. It's like civility is severely lacking. There's where things are funny or being tongue in cheek. Okay,
Yeah.
when you're full on attacking,
Right.
and she was trying to explain herself. Why, honestly, I don't even know why she was replying to these people, but she was trying to explain herself, and then it got really personal. It went from her writing and her job to about her love life and who she is or is not dating and sleeping with and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And I just was so disgusted and so dismayed. And so there's that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely cannot deal with that. But Who is your media crush, your social media crush?
Social media and media crush would definitely be Ryan Seacrest, hands down.
Ryan Seacrest? Oh my god, what?
I
Well,
I
Ryan
do.
Seacrest?
I do.
You're gonna have to explain this. I'm sorry.
I find him charming. I find him well informed, whether he's on the red carpet,
Right.
whether he's in studio interviewing someone. I like his style. I love the fact that he loved his mom. I find that very endearing.
Right. You're like a foot taller than he is. You're like a foot taller than he is. That one threw me for a loop. I thought you were gonna like say somebody completely different. I am. That's a head scratcher. I did not see that one coming. I see where you're coming
And
from.
the humble beginnings,
Yes.
from Georgia, I
Right.
find that just terrific.
Right,
and
you being from
encouraging.
Memphis, you have the
Yep.
Southern connection,
Yep.
right? And he is a media mogul. I
Yeah.
get it. He is a media mogul. I mean, he owns the Kardashians. So I mean, there's no denying his prowess, I guess, in the media. But I mean, I can't.
And he's got the Children's Hospital, I believe,
Yes,
in Philadelphia.
yes.
So again, just a
He created the
philanthropist, and he's using
studio,
the
right?
platform. Yeah. So
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, interesting. All right. Well, on that note, we're gonna. That one. I'm sorry, y'all. That one just like totally threw me for a loop. We are almost out of time for today. Jocelyn, thank you so much for
thank
coming.
you.
I appreciate you
Thank
for
you.
making time for me. A couple of things I want to bring up is one, if you follow me on social media, you have definitely seen this week of me saying that I'm looking for sponsors. If you love Let's Talk Personal, and I know you do, you tune in every week, I see the numbers. If you love Let's Talk Personal, you need to talk personally to me about sponsorship opportunities about the show. I actually had somebody write in yesterday asking if they could be my drink sponsor. Yes, you can absolutely be my drink sponsor, because everyone knows I always have a drink in every episode. It's usually Starbucks. Yes, if you would like to be my drink sponsor, by all means, if you would either like to provide the drink or provide the funding for the drink, I totally support it. Hair sponsor, makeup sponsor, wardrobe sponsor. Everyone knows that I love a jumper. You can sponsor all of the above, but reach out to me and go ahead. The show will not continue without your sponsorship, so please do write in. But speaking of the show, if you'd like to connect, and I know you do, please continue to connect. I appreciate it. You can do so on Twitter at LTP Brand Radio or on Instagram at Let's Talk Personal. And of course, you can always talk to me. You can do so on Instagram at Firestarter CEO or on Twitter at Your Firestarter. Tune in next week. Next week is going to be a super fun show. My dear friend, actor Josh Breckenridge, who is in the Broadway musical Come From Away, is going to be joining us. So I'm super excited about that. Of course, he'll be joining via Skype because he is in New York City on Broadway. But it's going to be he is loads of energy, so it's going to be a ton of fun. But in between, I am your host, Frances Reimers, and I appreciate you. See you next week.